Let me tell you something most bankers don't realize. You don't need to start from zero to become a business analyst. In fact, many of you are already doing 60% of what BAs are doing every single day. But the problem, you are doing the work without knowing how to present it. And that's exactly why good bankers keep getting rejected in the BA interview. So in this session, I'm going to show you how to convert your banking experience into a strong BA story without faking it and PGV proof, and how you can use AI to fast track this entire transition. So if you're someone thinking about moving from banking to IT, this is something you should not miss out. Let's get started. So I welcome all of you. This is going to be 1 hour of dedicated session where we're going to talk about banker to ITBA transition and how that is practically possible. So team, before I start today's agenda, again, how bankers can transition to IT business analyst, this is my commitment that this 1 hour of discussion is going to be very practical, where I'm not going to bore you with a lot of technical jargons. And we will make sure that by end of this 1 hour of discussion, all of you will be very clear with a strategic understanding of if you are facing certain problem statement with the transition, what can be that structured approach that we can follow, using which we all of us are able to reach where we want it. So with that, let's get started. And what I'll do, I'll be disabling my video so that all of your focus is on real-time discussion that we are having. So let's get started with the agendas part of today's discussion. All of you, please pay attention. 4 agendas that I'll be covering part of today's discussion would be: first, we'll talk about how banking industry is evolving with AI. That is the first discussion. Second, I'm going to talk about why do we fail business analyst interview. So what are those reasons that I have identified? So I know that most of you might be thinking that it is just the knowledge, but today I'm going to talk about some other areas because of which maybe you are not able to perform well in your real-time BA interview. Then our focus is going to be on how we are going to justify our project as a banker. And fourth, how we can try to leverage AI with the right prompts that can help us a lot with the project justification that we are giving in our interview. So these are the agendas of today's discussion. Let us start with 3 questions that I have to ask, because then it is going to help you with your thought process when I'm going to guide you with the project justification, that too using the right prompt that we can use while we'll be leveraging AI in business analysis. So my first 3 questions, let me talk about the first question we have on screen. My question is, in last 3 to 5 years, have you observed that any task in your role already being automated through system or digital tool? So my question, when you joined your organization, when you joined your bank, your observation, is it that it used to be a lot manual, but now since last 3 to 5 years, your banks have started leveraging digital transformation with whatever processes that you're using? All of you, yes or no in the comment. Is it your observation with the industry you coming from? All of us? Okay, awesome. We'll try to look at this team in a while. There is a reason of why I'm trying to ask all of you with how you think to give a proper project justification, is why I'm trying to cross-check all these questions, again, insights in form of the questions. Okay, my second question. With your existing experience, irrespective, you are a banker, you're a branch manager, whatever operation you're coming from, my question, have you ever experienced that you have explained a banking process or a problem to IT team or anyone, or maybe you have this thought that whatever system that we are using currently, there is a scope of improvisation. So think it this way. Let's say you are using an internal CRM, you are using an internal ERP. And when you are trying to use these digital platforms, there are a few scenarios where you are observing that if this CRM ERP is having those given feature, it is going to help you execute your use case in a better way in terms of user experience. Is this your realization with you working around those CRM, ERPs and all that? All of you, if you can respond in the comment section, is this your observation that there is scope of improvisation to the existing CRM or ERP that we are using? Yes or no in the comment section? All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Now, my question to all of you is the last question is, now you have 2 options where I will again talk about how this industry is going to evolve with AI coming in. But my question, with the current situation you are, and you have already started realizing that companies are going for digital transformation. Now you have two options. First is you are going to continue doing your operational work for next 10-15 years, maybe to climb up that ladder of branch manager or whatever that comes after that, or you are looking to move into tech project where you're actually helping the bank design their systems and all. Out of these two, one or two part of your current expectation, one or two. Is it option one or is it option two? Okay. So all of you are choosing that, Dipanshu. I am more interested to go for the option two. Team, this is the biggest impact of AI that I want all of you to understand. So in case if you are currently just part of the core operation and you are not assisting your project or your bank with this, and if you're not aspiring to go into IT business analysis, I would say that for you, you should definitely fear AI. And that is where we are going to talk about what are the expectations that companies are having. So that now when you're trying to face those interviews, you are very strategically clear that how we are going to put efforts in the right direction. Now, team, let me talk about software development lifecycle. It is, again, a very short realization that I want to give all of you, because I want to talk about SBI taking example from the three models that when it comes to software development lifecycle. Why is this is important for any banker who is looking for ITBA transition? Why is that important? Because let's say currently you are working with any bank. Let me call you as a client for any IT organization. So let's say Accenture is one of the vendor, and this vendor is finalized, let's say, to take care of the digital transformation of this bank. Now, understand this. If I talk about any client vendor relationship, and when this vendor is going to help any of the business in digital transformation, if I talk about the core expectation of a business analyst, until unless you are not clear with software development lifecycle, that what are the three methodologies that we had used in the past, what we are using currently, you will not be able to help the organizations with the digital transformation. So if I talk about the three models, the first model is Waterfall, and you will observe that for 3 decades, 1970 to year 2000, this was the only way of software development lifecycle. And then there were few realization we had, some of the issues we faced, which I'll talk about in a while, taking example of SBI, is where we had to move to Agile Scrum. And since year 2000 till now, most of the organization are in the pseudo confidence that we are using Agile Scrum. Now, why do I say pseudo confidence? Because you need to understand, since last 1 decade, most of the organization have already started using hybrid. So I am saying this software development lifecycle not for the banking operations or no. I am saying this from a vendor, from a IT side perspective team. So what I'm telling you is that if a business analyst is working for any of these IT organization, any service based, this is the transformation that they have realized, that we used to follow Waterfall, then we started using Agile Scrum, and hybrid is the most compatible model when it comes to AI in business analysis. And why do I say that? When I'm going to show you a table comparison with what deliverables versus which methodology, then you will understand that why this is important, mandatory for each one of you to have that level of clarity, even as a banker, when you are going for the ITBA transition. So I will talk about a couple of issues. Let's say, okay, think it this way. Let's say you appeared for one of an interview, and then they are trying to ask, can you tell us what all deliverables you have supported in your current organization? And then if you're not able to differentiate, let's say on a high level, most of you are aware there's a BRD, FRD, SRS, user story, use cases, but you need to have end-to-end clarity of, as far as my experience, again, project is concerned, but all deliverables I will be able to communicate as far as my project justification is concerned. So Vilas, have a bit of patience. I'll talk about hybrid in a while with one of example I have from SBI. So all of us. So take my quick question. All of you, are you with me on the same page that how the industry, the IT industries had evolved in the software development lifecycle, starting Waterfall, Agile Scrum, and now most of the companies are following a hybrid methodology, part of software development lifecycle. Is it making sense to all of us? Clear on this, all of us? All of us. Really quick. Okay, awesome. Now, all of you, please pay attention. Let me talk about example of SBI that all of you will be able to relate with because you are coming from the banking experience. So, team, if we go back to year 1970, you will observe most banking operations were completely paper-based. Again, I'm talking about year 1970. So, transactions were recorded manually, ledgers were maintained physically, and technology was limited to basic mainframe system. And in that era, the focus of banking technology was pretty simple. They were looking for stability, data accuracy, and they wanted to make sure that whatever that we are doing part of our operation, it is always RBI compliant. Because again, when you are working for any bank, you have to make sure that whatever regulatory compliance changes and all is going, your bank is always adhering those regulatory changes coming in, which is of course governed by RBI that we all possess. And having said that, system back then were built once with a detailed documentation, and once you're going to start the development, there was absolute no flexibility to make changes. So let's say back then, if you go back and ask, let's say you as a banker will go and talk to any of the IT company saying, hey, these are the changes that we are expecting. In that given scenario, you would have heard of this jargon, very common. You call it change request. So when you talk about change request, this is one of a very, very, very common jargon when it comes to waterfall methodology, where you would have heard of change request documentations and all of that. But if you look at change request document and that thought process of the real-time pain that IT is facing, the business is facing and all, is where they observe that if we are going to go ahead with the lengthy documentation approaches and if there is no flexibility, we literally have to go for the another model. So if you just talk about SBIs, for example, you will observe that if we are now moving around year 2000, banking started transforming rapidly. So if you look at SBI, they started serving millions of customers. And that's where you will observe that digital banking started emerging. So customer wanted online account access, fund transfer, bill payment. And that is the reason banks could no longer wait years to release new system. The problem that we were facing in the water. But that is where, understand, when technology had to evolve faster, and this is when the industry started adopting agile ways. So think it this way. When I talk about agile, what is the dictionary meaning of that? It says we need to have a lot of flexibility into consideration. When it comes to agile scrum method, the entire focus is on lean documentation. And that is where the company started realizing that when it comes to lean documentation, sometimes it is not again making a lot of sense with those kind of project where regulation, compliance and all has a lot to do with those adherings and all. And having said that, the organization had to shift to hybrid. And one of the again, excellent example to that would be, if I talk about I'm pretty sure a couple of you would have heard of it. If I talk about 17 onwards, and if you talk about SBI, your observation would be they came up with one of a platform to which they named Yono. How many of you are aware of this platform? I will tell you something interesting about. Okay. Now, team, you need to understand when we started entering the modern era around 2017 onwards, the banking, they are now trying to transform from digital banking to understand. Digital banking was a concept there in Agile Scrum when I speak. Now the transformation is from digital banking to intelligent banking. And that is where when it comes to intelligent banking, this is very, very important for the banks to adhere with AIs and all coming in. And that is where you will observe that a lot of the banks today are using AI for things like fraud detection, smart finance insights, and they have come up with some automated transaction classification. And one of a conversational assistant, again, I will ask all of you to go ahead, do a bit of more research is Yono. So I was watching one of our interaction of CS Shetty, who is the current chairman of SBI. So if you will go ahead and look at that discussion of that someone, you will get a more clarity of what I'm trying to explain around Yono and all. And team, my recommendation to all of you, you should always thrive for knowledge. And having said, my recommendation for all of you would be that you should always try to go and attend those webinars to understand that what are those changes that is happening in the banking space and all, so that later point in time when you're appearing for the interview, you're not just appearing with the thought process that you are aware of what are the expectations from BA, you're also understanding that what is that structural change that these organizations are having, so that you are more confident in order to respond to whatever questions being asked from different areas and all. Now, what are the two options, team, that we have, to which all of you already validated? First option is that you can stay with your own operation, like you can work as a banker. But my piece of recommendation to you would be, even if you are working as a banker, you should try to find opportunities where, if your organization is working on any of these initiatives, you try to upskill yourself and then you try to show your interest that you want to volunteer for those given opportunities as far as your organization capability enhancement and that evolution is concerned. So that maybe you might have your own reason of why you want to again stick with your bank, but my recommendation would be, if you are just going to be in the core operation, that is not going to help you where you want to reach. So try to find out these projects and try to volunteer for those to the best of your capability you can. And the second option for all of us is that easy way is to transition to the IT business analyst, where one of a catch I want all of you to understand: if you are someone not enjoying problem solving, process improvement, working with a tech team, and helping designing system requirement, this role is not going to be a good fit. And in one line, if I have to say, if you are someone who is not going to enjoy people skill, I will not recommend you to go for IT business analyst transition. But I would say 99% of you, you already have got those good people skills and all, is why currently you're working as a banker and still you are able to justify whatever salaries that is, you're getting paid and all. But team, understand, when you are going for that ITBA transition from banker, you need to understand what are your strengths. Until unless you don't know what are your strengths and weaknesses, difficult for you to transition as a IT business analyst. So what are your strengths, team? Understand this. If I talk about your domain knowledge, when it comes to banking, one of a blocker that most of the BAs, maybe their perceptions is that one of our blocker is that companies are expecting in-depth understanding of all 25 plus domains. So team, think it this way. I'm trying to explain you that if you talk about any IT organization, if it's a service based, they try to cater to whatever business irrespective of the domain that they are coming. So when it comes to any e-commerce, when it comes to again FMCG, any of those domain, it is expected that the BAs should be aware of the domain and then they are going for the BA transition. This is your perception. Let me correct that a little. It is practically not possible that you going to have knowledge of all 25 plus domain and then you are looking for a ITBA transition. If you're in that thought that domain is acting like a blocker, good part about bankers is that banking is coming in top 5 most demanding domain across all the industry that you can think of. And your greatest strength is that you already have the domain knowledge, the experience that you are coming from. You already have the understanding of the process and you are already aware of the regulatories and all, because again, it's already been many years you have been worked with that organization. So you're pretty much aware of, again, when it comes to RBI regulatory compliance changes coming in and all that. So understand, your first priority when you are looking for IT business analyst role, your first priority, it can be, I am looking for a IT business analyst opportunity for the domain, the experience that I'm already coming from. But having said that, I will not recommend that all of you are just having this thought process that if there are openings coming from all 25 plus domain, my only focus is going to be banking domain. So let me try to show you one of a message in one of a group that we had, one of a session that we conducted, that is going to give you more clarity on what I'm trying to explain. So all of you, if I'm assuming my screen is visible to all of you. So this is one of a batch that I concluded like last year. So if you go through this, one of my alumni, Anusha, if you go through, she was coming from banking operation and then she was able to get an offer as a senior consultant with some organization. Look at this. Another challenge that I've been managed to overcome is that I was coming from core banking landing, but still I was able to get into the payment domain. So I think what I'm trying to make all of you understand with this discussion we are having is that you should not consider that domain is actually acting like a blocker. I'm saying your first priority, your first priority can be banking, but you should also have to openly apply for other opportunities as well. You never know, you might get opportunity in other domain as well. So do not consider domain as a blocker as far as your ITBA transition is concerned. Banking can be your priority, but that is not going to act like a blocker. So you have to open for any domain, because that is very important for you as a business analyst. That initial 4 to 5 year, you are trying to work on multiple domain, because later point in time when you're going for a product owner, product manager kind of role, in that case, most of the organizations are expecting you to be domain subject matter expert. So for now, as a business analyst, I am recommending make sure you are working on multiple domain as far as initial 4 to 5 years of experience in business analysis is concerned. So team, I'm very sure that all of you are very, very clear with that domain as a blocker, because I get a lot of messages and all saying, Dipanshu, I'm coming from banking. Does that mean I will only be able to start my career in a bank or no? Like again, as IT business analyst? So the answer to that is no, but your priority can absolutely be the same experience, same domain that you're coming from. Now, all of you look at this. Let me talk about top 4 reasons of why you are failing your BA interview. This is very important for all of you to understand. First of all, lack of practical business analysis knowledge. Now, why do I say lack of practical business analysis knowledge? The reason to that is when I go ahead with one-to-one interaction, now team, since last these many years, if you go through, I have personally interacted with these many individuals, because that is one of a process we follow for our program. So if you go through this, look at the testimonials and feedback that I have received, which means I have interacted with these many professionals coming from different industries and all. One of my observations says when I'm interacting with them that they just have the surface level understanding, as in they might be aware of what jargons we have to communicate. But when in their real-time interviews, when companies are trying to cross-check those jargon, that is exactly where they are not able to explain those jargons to them practically, because of the reason they are just trying to cook a story around their experience. They have tweaked their experience. And the issue is that they do not have proper understanding of what they have communicate in terms of the knowledge and all. So I will guide you on that as well, team, and you'll understand that what is the level of clarity that is expected from each one of you. Second thing, I've observed that most of you have the knowledge. There is one quiz we have on our website. It says top 1% BA quiz. So there are scenarios I have observed that someone have even scored 70%, which is difficult to achieve when it comes to the quiz that I have mentioned. But again, I have observed even those who have scored more than 70%, when I talk to them, they have the right set of knowledge, but they actually lack the motivation. Now, team, let me tell you this. There are chances that you have appeared for 20 interviews since last 3 months, and maybe you have failed in all of those. I will still recommend you should not lose the hope. There is no harm in going for another 10 interviews, in going for another 10 interviews, because till the day you're going to lose the motivation. And team, understand the psychology of the motivation. If you are putting efforts, you individually, that, okay, I individually is going to work, learn things myself, I will recommend, why not you reach out to someone who is also looking for business analyst opportunities, transition from your space, so that you can create a group, let's say 2 of you, 3 of you, 4 of you, 5 of you. And in that close group, you're actually working on the practical skill required. Now, when it comes to what are the practical skills, I will guide you with those points, team, that what are my expectation from you? What are those pointers that you have to prepare as far as your project justification is concerned? But team, understand my thought process. If you are going to do it individually, believe me, within 2 months of time, you are going to lose your motivation. So my recommendation, try to find out someone who is also looking for transition, and then you will observe that all of you are going to pretty much, okay, Simran said I got 60%, but no offer. That is what I was trying to tell team, that this is very, very, very important, that you try to reach out to individual, and then you try to create a closed group, and maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 of you are trying to interact on a weekly basis, weekend basis and all of you are trying to work in that space where you're motivating one another. My question, team, is it making sense? Do you agree that sometimes motivation is also one of the reason you are failing those interviews? How many of you agree with me on this? That sometimes motivation is also an issue. We are not motivated to work on whatever required. Agree? Yes or no? All of us? Thank you, Simran. Thank you, Priyak. Okay, awesome. Third team is that as far as your transition is concerned, understand this team. Your real success is how good you are in terms of explaining your banking experience as a project. Because if you're just going to talk about your core operation, that has nothing to do with what these organizations are looking as far as their ITB expectations are concerned. Important that your experience, you are trying to tweak that as a project, which I will explain you in a while. And then your entire structure, your entire thought process is that how good I am in terms of convincing the recruiter with a practical knowledge that I have as far as my project justification is concerned. And third, I've observed that you are consuming a number of content online, and then pretty much you're clueless that what should be that structured approach that we should follow in order to really crack those opportunities and all. Because team, let me tell you this, there are 50% of the skills you might think is essential for a business analyst to have. So for example, if I talk about Power BI, how many of you agree that Power BI is one of a mandatory skill for you to get into business analysis? Let me know in the comment section. So Sibyan said, maybe. That is what I'm saying, team. You need to be very clear that what are those skills that are actually relevant. I'm not saying that Power BI, if you have that skill, it is not going to help you. Okay. One of you is saying that SQL is mandatory. Let me correct you there, Prathamesh. SQL is again not a mandatory skill for a BA. SQL can be a mandatory skill for a technical BA, but it is not a mandatory skill as far as the functional business analyst role is concerned. This is exactly where I am saying most of you, the content that you're consuming, you are directionless. You are not even aware that as far as my experience is concerned, what is the role that I should target for? Is it the techno-functional BA? Is it the functional BA? Is it a technical BA? Is it a RPA BA? Is it a Salesforce BA? So important that all of you are very clear with what background you are coming from. And for you, which role is the most easy to get into until unless you're not clear on that. Believe me, you will be keep on putting a lot of efforts in that direction. And literally, it will be difficult for you. You will lose the motivation applying for 20, 30 jobs with no response. So important that all of you are following a structured approach of your learning as far as the transition is concerned. Now, this is going to be the game changer for all of us. Look at this. Next thing you need to understand, for you to succeed in your interview, until unless you are not able to give a proper project justification to your recruiters, you will not be able to transition. Why do I say this? So these are 5 pointers, team, that I mentioned. I will take you through the whole set, that what all areas I'm expecting all of you to be clear with. So look at this. You need to have a very clear understanding of the business problem. Okay. Before I go and talk about this, let me just take you through one of our profile. Okay, so all of you please pay attention so that you are able to relate this better with what I'm trying to explain. Look at this. So if you go through one of my alumni's profile, her name is Samistha Sarkar. If you go through, look at this. This someone had close to 10 years of experience. All of you can relate. You are coming from the same experience, relationship, deputy manager and all that. Now look at this. If I talk about this someone, having 10 years of experience, this someone has tweaked 4 years of experience in business analysis, where she is claiming that I am working as a business analyst for banking software. Now, this is what I call is the projection, that if you are not logically, knowledge-wise able to give a proper validation to your recruiters that I have supported my bank or the operation in the digital transformation. Team, let me explain this to you this way, and then I will talk about what pointers to cover in the project justification and all of that. All of you try to understand what I'm trying to explain. Look at this. Let's say, what is the explanation that this someone is going to give in the interview? So this someone is saying that, hey, when I joined my organization back in year 2014, I was working as a relationship manager. I got promoted to deputy branch manager. And that's when post-COVID, my organization, after understanding the implication, the again advantage or the importance of digital transformation, we started going into software solution development, where one of the vendor that was finalized, I was also part of the team from my bank. And our job was to explain the requirement to the vendor, not team. Understand this. Let's assume that I am coming from Accenture and I am an IT business analyst. For me to help this bank, I will not be able to assume the requirement. I literally have to go and talk to someone who is coming from the core operation of a bank, helping me understand that what are our pain points, what are our challenges, what are those features that we are looking. And only then I, as a IT business analyst, will be able to help that organization with a digital transformation. I, as a ITBA, until unless I'm not interacting with the employee of the business, how I will be able to understand that what is that real-time changes or that real-time revamp or that software solution that they are expecting. But team, now look at the catch here. Very important. Look at the catch. When you are claiming that, hey, I am someone who have actually supported my organization in the digital transformation, you should be crystal clear with couple of things, and which I will explain you in a while, that when you're giving that explanation, the nature of the software solution, what was your role's responsibility, what deliverables you have created. I will talk about that in a while. But you need to understand, team, that this is not your ITBA explanation that you are giving. Please understand this. Again, what I'm saying, you are explaining the requirement to a ITBA as an employee of the business. Why you are considering yourself as a business analyst? Because there is a jargon, you call it business BA. Your job as an employee of the business, because you already have those many years of experience for that bank, your your job was to explain two things to the ITBA. That is what and why. That is, what are the expectation? And team, when I say you, it is not only Samistha as a business BA or the employee of the business is going to explain all that to the ITBA. There are team of the stakeholders. There can be 10 to 15 members. I'm not saying that only Samistha is that key stakeholder who is going to go and explain the requirement to the ITBA. I'm saying Samistha is part of one of the stakeholder who is going to go and communicate the requirement to the IT business analyst. How many of you are able to relate with what I have explained so far? And you think that this is absolutely going to be game changer if we have clarity on those explanations. Not even important for all of you to get the reality check. And then you will understand that what mistake are you actually doing part of your existing interviews and all that. Okay, look at this, Steve. Now, pretty much, if I take you through the project justification, you will be able to relate better. It says, clear understanding of business problem, as is versus to be process understanding. Your role as a business analyst, not IT. Your experience is as a business PA, not as a IT business analyst. Because team, when I go through couple of your profile, I will show you that what is the mistake that most of you are doing, even when you are trying to tweak your experience, because you will not be able to showcase your experience as an IT business analyst. I will help you understand this in a while with some documentations that I'll try to explain you with different methods and all that. And then what are the key feature or functionalities that you are expecting part of the software solution? And what is the high level understanding of that system? Because if you have explained the requirement to the ITBA, it is definitely expected out of you that when they are trying to ask you those questions, you have clear understanding of what feature, what module, nature of software solution, and all of that. So having said that, it is mandatory for each one of you that you have this level of clarity before you are going ahead with the proper project justification. Now, team, look at this, what I'm trying to showcase. There are different deliverables in business analysis, PRD, FRDs, wireframe mockup, user story, scope document, ERD, data dictionary, mind map use case. This is important for each one of you to be aware which document is created in which method. And also, if I talk about PRD, for example, let me ask you two questions. PRD, is it going to be created in a waterfall project? Is it going to be part of Agile Scrum? Or is it going to be in the hybrid? Or if it are flexible, that it can be created in any of these? What do you think is correct? Now, team, look at the response. Look at the response. This is exactly what I was trying to explain. Oh, the comment is flooded with hybrid, Agile Scrum, and team, 80% of you are so-called certified business analyst. My question, if you are actually certified business analyst, Why are you not able to respond to these basic bare minimum question that I'm asking? And this is a question that you should ask yourself, that if you are appearing in your interview with this level of clarity, let's say I'm asking you, can you tell me what was the methodology that was used and what all deliverables have you created? You are not even able to respond to those bare minimum question that I am asking you. Is exactly where, team, I said important before you are going for project justification, you have this level of clarity. Let me ask you last question, team, and then you will get understanding whether you actually understand practical business analysis or not. Let me ask you this. Let's say, let me write documentation. I will write BRD, I will write FRD, and then I will write PRD. My question. Use case diagram and use case specification. Use case diagram is going to be part of what all documentation, PRD, FRD, PRD, all of these, or anyone that you think to your knowledge. Same goes to the use case specification. And if you're not aware, you can simply write not aware. So one of you said FRD, BRD, it will be different for three based on different projects. I'm not satisfied, Divya, with what you're saying. Not satisfied. I'm not satisfied with any of your response. Reason, team, understand, I am trying to give you your reality check, because these are the real-time scenarios you're going to face in your interview. They're going to ask you in-depth question because you are the one who's claiming. Okay, look at this, team. Look at this. So what I'm trying to explain all of you is that, please understand, until unless you do not have this level of clarity, you will not be able to give a proper project justification. So important that all of us are understanding that what is that structure level of understanding that is required. Okay. Now, having said that, now, if I take you through the next slide, the same thing that I just asked. So, team, my question, let's say in your interview, someone is trying to ask you this question. So they are saying that, hey, can you tell me that digital transformation that you are trying to explain, what was the nature of software solution that you have helped your organization with? And these are the options you have: CRM, ERP, website, mobile app, website, all of these. So my question, when you are trying to explain that this is the nature of the software solution that I have helped with the implementation and all, my question, how are you going to give a logical explanation to that? So what is going to be your choice of software solution? So couple of you said CRM, ERPs, all of those. Okay, fair. Let me go to the next question, because these are those practical knowledge check, team, that I want to validate whether you are even able to respond to those questions on eye level or not. The same question, team, I said, same question. I said, to documentations and deliverables have you contributed? Now, team, let me tell you this. You know, when it comes to this document, I'm very surprised to see that couple of you so-called, the names that you call yourself certified BAs, whatever, again, you have consumed, I'm not sure, or from where you have consumed. But my question to you is that, how can you claim that you are working as a business BA, and as a business BA, you are the one who have reviewed the software requirement specification? I mean, this is something which is absolutely not making sense to the organization, because SRS is a technical document. You will never be asked to review a software requirement specification. As far as your experience is concerned, it is an internal document that IT team is creating. And that is where, if you are claiming that I, as a banking employee, and I, part of my job, I have reviewed the software requirement specification, I can identify that you are trying to cook stories in your interviews and all. How many of you are able to understand what I'm trying to explain? That what is the level of clarity that is required? Is it making sense, team, what I'm trying to explain? If you are claiming that I have created a SRS, how that can be a possibility? Think it yourself, think it logically. Until unless you're not clear on those parameters, why do you think company is going to have trust on you and all that? And having said that, let me show you the last one. And I'm very sure all of you will be able to relate with what mistakes are you doing part of that. So look at this. Let's say they're asking you, can you tell me what was the total duration of that digital transformation project and which methodology have you used? So my question, how many of you are confidently able to respond to this question logically? Are you able to? Yes or no? Are you able to give a logical explanation to this? Which methodology was used? How much of time this took for the digital transformation? This is the reality check, which means most of you, the content that you are consuming, high time for you to understand that. Now onwards, your entire focus should be on, again, your entire focus should be whatever that you are claiming that you have worked. Now you have to real time start creating those documentation as far as your experience with your bank is concerned. Until unless you're not doing that, believe me, you are definitely going to struggle a lot in your intro. And having said that, team, look at this. I will go to the next one. The last question. Let's say they are trying to ask you the question that is, which method of prioritization have you used? Maybe while you were trying to give sign off to the stakeholders, to the IT sides and also, let's say if they're asking which method of prioritization, how will you respond to that? I know that a couple of you will come up with one of a method very popular, so I'm just waiting for a response. Which method of prioritization? Of course, I knew that, Praveen. Moscow. Okay. Now, those, again, let us try to get your reality check, Praveen. My next question to those who are coming with all those jargons and all, Moscow, my practical question to you is that, tell me this. Moscow, is it applicable at a sprint level, vision level, release level, or it is flexible? Think about it. So Prathamesh said a sprint, Divya said vision. I mean, Tim, this is the level of clarity we have, and then we are really looking for ITBA transition and all. I mean, think it this way, even if you are getting a ITBA job, my question, are you really confident that you will be able to sustain that job? That is the question. The real question is not, are we going to get the offer letter? My question, even if you get the offer letter with whatever bad practices that we are doing, I will not talk about those bad practices of faking experience and all of that. My question to you is that, even if you get the offer letter, with the knowledge that we have, do you think you will be able to justify your role as a business analyst? Think it this way, because your real-time goal should never be that I am just looking for offer. The question, once I am into business analysis, will I be able to justify whatever is mentioned part of that job description? So team, important for all of you to please focus more on the practical knowledge instead just relying on theoretical certifications and all of that most of you think is going to actually help you crack the opportunities and all that. Now team, let me talk about some of our success. Look at this. Aman Sinha, Samistha, if I talk about Venkat, this someone is 50 plus year of age. And this someone is currently working with HCL Tech as a technical consultant. Anusha recently cracked. Look at this. This message, this is from Anusha. And if you pretty much like, okay, any of these profile, I will recommend that go ahead and check their names on the website. I mean, pretty much each of their profile exists. And the transparency that I have with the BA community, when it comes to their real-time names and all, go ahead. Each of the names that you are checking on my website is what I'm claiming 150% salary hike, what I'm claiming 100% salary hike and their real-time transition. I will ask you to go ahead, validate. You just have to click on the LinkedIn profile and that will land you to their real-time profiles and all that. So team, what I'm trying to tell you is that all of that is absolutely doable. But having said that, the question to all of you is that, are you really ready for that effort that you have to put in as far as the practical learning and all of that is concerned? So team, understand this. I will talk about how, okay, and this is not mandatory for all of you to go through any program, any sort of courses and all that. Believe me, with AI coming in, there are a lot of things that you can also try to do as far as your self-study and all of that is concerned. So having said that, I will now try to focus a little on how we can try to use AI so that it is going to help you with better project justification and all of that. So all of you, please pay attention. Look at this. Let me take you through one of a prompt. By the way, how many of you have already started using any LLM, any AI platform for maybe whatever information exchange and all that? Anything, maybe Chat GPT, maybe Claude, Perplexity. How many of you are already using this? Team, I want all of you to go through this prompt and tell me, is this prompt good enough? Is this prompt good enough for you to get the desired output? How much of rating you going to give to this prompt on scale of 5? How much of rating you can give to this on scale of 5? This prompt that we are using. Let me show you. And what is the prompt? It says, I work in a bank in a loan processing. Can you convert my experience into business analyst project explanation? Okay, cool. Which means this prompt is absolutely not going to work. Now, let's look at the another prompt. Look at this. So this says, this is a little more descriptive. It says, I work in a loan department of a bank and I want to transition to business analyst role. Can you help me create a project explanation based on my experience? On scale of 5, how much of rating we can give to this? Now, let me show you the next prompt, because we are trying to improvise the quality of the prompt and all in order to get the desired. Look at this. It says, work in a retail loan processing bank for a bank where we verify, document and check loan eligibility. I want to explain my experience as a BA. Can you help me create a project explanation, including problem statement, stakeholder and solution? How much of rating we can give to this on scale of 5? All of us? Now, team, what if I say that all of these prompts that you believe is actually going to work, most of these are meaningless? Because when it comes to the real prompt that now you should be using, let me talk about, again, one of our structure that we recommend in our program and all. So if you look at the prompt, important that any prompt that you're using for whatever documentation, whatever use cases. So again, we'll talk about a lot of the AI specific tool for different use cases in the program. But anyways, look at this. If I talk about any prompt, it should have a purpose, a role, a objective, a mode, a parameter, and a tone. Now, let me show you one of a prompt that sort of I have given in my program. So if you go through this prompt, it says, you are an experienced senior BA working in a banking and a fintech domain. And then you are explaining, I work as a deputy manager. And then you are giving entire understanding of what is your core operation that you are coming. Now you're saying, I want to transition into a full-time ITBA and need to present a realistic project during interview based on my current banking experience. Help me create a realistic practical IT project scenario. And then you are also guiding the AI that all of these explanations that I'm expecting from you. But team, let me tell you this. If you are only going to rely on AI, it is going to hallucinate. I will talk about that in a while, all of those. Example, functional user story, business rule, all of that. And then you're also giving the structure. Keep the project realistic for a banking environment. Do not create unrealistic or over technical scenario. The project should be something like a loan settlement. You're also giving example. And there you are coming up with some explanation and all. My question to all of you, when you are trying to go through this prompt for your project justification, how much of rating you can give to this prompt on scale of 5? I will still say that this is 4. I will still say this is 4 because they understand AI is evolving. Maybe one tool that I discussed in one of my sessions 2 months back. Now, let's say if I am doing another batch this Saturday, maybe the tool I'm going to recommend is different. My question, are we actually putting the efforts in the right direction so that we are keep on upgrading our knowledge with what best possible AI tools that we can use? And team, I will definitely recommend all of you that please start using the prompts, use different tools so that you can really get into the AI usage and all. Just going ahead, attending any of the trainings and all, it is not going to help. You literally have to put efforts from your end. And that is where, see, if I pretty much just take you through one of a scenario. Yes. Here it is. Look at that different prompts and all, team. I mean, you might be thinking that it's just one prompt. Look at that level of clarity you need to have. Those many prompts were important that you are also clear with what tools to use and what are the recommendation with the research that my team have made and all of that. So what I'm recommending all of you is that team, make sure you are putting a lot of efforts from your end in terms of your AI upskilling is concerned. Because if you're not putting the efforts, believe me, the transition is definitely going to be difficult for you. And having said that, I will recommend all of you team that do not try to get trapped by this AI FOMO and all that is existing. You definitely need to understand that what is making sense versus what is not making sense for you as a business analyst to be aware. So if I talk about LLM behavior hallucination, GPUs, fine-tuning any model like LoRa, transformer architecture, important that you are very clear what is making sense for you as far as your AI BA expectation or the transition is concerned, and for you what is not making sense, because there are two things. One is implementing LLM and another is from a usage perspective. Tim, your entire focus is going to be from the usage perspective. It is not going to be for the implementation that the companies are hiring you so that you are helping them implement or develop an internal LLM. There can be a scenario that one of a client is looking for an internal LLM, but that is again your major focus is to understand why they are looking, what are their use cases and all. Your job as a BA will never be to develop a LLM, and that is why important for you to understand what are the practical expectations. So do not try to run behind all that AI FOMO. Important that you are trying to identify what is making sense versus what is not making sense. And that is where, team, if you, okay, so I conducted one of a session, I think 3 months back, where I've talked about AI in business analysis. This is close to 2 hours of video. I will recommend all of you that you go ahead and you try to look at this, where the jargons that I've used, AI hallucination, guardrail, all of this, if you'll go through, you'll understand that I've explained all those topics. And then you will be very clear that what is making sense versus what is not making sense as far as AI FOMO is concerned. So team, you will find this video very easily on YouTube. Go ahead, watch that, and you will have end-to-end clarity as far as the AI expectations are concerned. Now, team, when it comes to interacts, I started this couple of years back, where one of my only program is PIBA, which is based on a lot of research that we have made, and it is not the theoretical jargons and all that you are consuming online. So pretty much you can do your research on website and all of that, but this is that top 1% BA community where my alumni are working for big four and top MNCs. And having said that, I'm not sure if you are coming from any platform learnings and all, how many of them have this level of transparency with their learner? Let me just try to show you my alumni network and the level of transparency that I have with my learners and all. So like, I will just show you my WhatsApp group, and then that will help you understand the thought process, what I'm trying to communicate. Look at this. If I show you my alumni network, what is your observation, team? Literally, so the names and all that I'm claiming. So let's say I claim that I have these many alumni and all that. Look at the count, and literally each one of them is given the right access, so that if they are coming up with any opportunities, they are sharing it with the team. And I mean, on a weekly basis, there are success stories coming in our group. I question to all of you is that I'm not sure of any platform having this level of transparency with their alumni, that each one of them is given the right access. Look at all of that. Messages coming in our alumni group and all of that with their real-time success stories and all of that. Team, my only suggestion for all of you would be that as far as your transition is concerned, your entire focus should revolve around one thing. Irrespective you're going through any platforms, you are going through self-learning, try to focus and try to prioritize on. So if you go through my website, if you go through this assignment that we give after completion of the program, and then we conduct the mock interview of our learners and all. So look at this. Important that your entire focus is not just to learn what is a BRD or what is a FRD or what is SRS. Your real-time focus is, are you confident that I am good enough in terms of knowledge, I have enough clarity that I myself is able to create these documentation myself, and then I have the clarity around what should be the table of content, which method to use, how to use, and all of that. So now onwards, instead you are trying to waste your time, efforts going through theoretical concepts and all, I will encourage all of you, that team, make sure you are putting efforts in the right direction. And okay, so team, those who are looking for their ITBA transition and all, pretty much go through my website. And if you want to have one-to-one discussion with me, because in my PIBA program, we follow a shortlisting process. So I will get on a call with you. It is going to be a one-to-one video call discussion. I will understand the challenges, the background, your expectation. Only if you are meeting my expectation, I'm meeting your expectation, only then you will be entitled to go for my PIB program. What you can do, you can just go to my website, fill in the apply now form. I will just share my screen and explain that process. So all that you have to do is go through the website, click on apply now for one-to-one strategy call, fill up all these information, so that prior you are connecting with me, I already have this much of information of yours. We will get into a one-to-one strategy call. And then if I think that the program is for you, I will let you join the program after a shortlisting process that we follow out of the PIB program. Team, this is my commitment that I will keep on coming with more such insightful session in the near future. So thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I will be seeing you in another upcoming session. Thank you all. Thank you for having me.